it's Dawn from Ninja Bunny Crochet. Today I'm going to show you how to use a yarn ball winder and a swift. What you would use these for is to make yarn cakes. Typically you use the swift when you have a hank of yarn. Now these are usually, you get these when you get more of a premium yarn. This particular yarn is a 52% acrylic, 40% nylon, 40% wool, 8% nylon. A lot of times your 100% wool yarns or your natural fiber yarns will come in hanks like this. You cannot use this in this form to crochet with or to knit with because it'll just get into a big ball of knotty mess. So you use the swift and the ball winder to wind it up into a nice little cake like this. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to demonstrate how to use this ball winder, or excuse me, this is the ball winder and this is a swift. This is called an Amish swift. I always want to call it a switch because I've been playing a lot of Nintendo Switch lately. So I'm going to show you how to use this and how to get your yarn onto a yarn ball winder. I have a link in the description box below, both to the yarn ball winder and the swift. So first we need to grab ourselves a pair of scissors because we're going to have to cut the little ties on our hank of yarn. So we want to take our label off. Now I always keep the labels because you want to make sure you remember what kind of yarn you have. You're going to undo your hank by pulling out the bottom and just letting it untwist. Now there's ties on the hank of yarn so that your yarn doesn't get all knotted when you undo your yarn. You're going to put it over the pegs of your swift. Now you need it to be taut, not super tight, but taut. So just move the pegs, these pegs come out, and you're going to move the pegs one at a time, just out one as you're going around to get your yarn taut. So that should do it. I don't think we're going to be able to go out one more. Nope, that's going to be a little too tight. Okay, next thing you're going to want to do is spread your yarn out. Make sure you don't have any twist in it, which we have a little bit of a twist there. So before you cut your ties, you're going to want to make sure all your fibers are going in the same direction. And you want to do this before you cut those ties, because those ties are also helping keep the yarn from twisting. So now that we have them all going in the same direction, make sure your yarn is not stuck under a peg. Right there. And make sure your pegs are stuck in there nice and tight too. You know what? I think I'm going to pull that out one more just to make sure it's a little bit tight. There, that's a little bit better. It wasn't quite tight enough. Because you want it tight, but you don't want it too tight. There we go. So if all our fibers are going in the same direction, they're not twisted up. Okay. Now we can cut our ties off. Slide these ties down here so they're in the center. And this one is our end tie. I don't know if you can see that in the camera because it's a little far away, but this has got the end of the yarn in it where you're going to start to wind the yarn. It's got the knot. So we're going to cut the knot and pull out the tie. So we have the start of the yarn. I'm going to take that tie off And come over to the other side and take the other tie off. There should be at least 2 ties. Sometimes there's 3, but there's usually at least 2. Now we're going to go back to where the yarn is. This is where it starts. You want to make sure that you're pulling from the outside of the skein. Like this is, there we go. Just make sure it's going to be coming from the outside. Just pull a little bit of a length out so you can get to your yarn ball winder. Now once you have your length of yarn, you're going to feed it through the first tension arm, and this has a second tension arm, so you're going to go through the second tension arm and then through this slit in the top of the cone. Now when you first start winding it, you're going to have this little extra here, so you're going to hold on to that. And you want to make sure you always wind in the same direction. So if you have to stop, make sure you keep it going in the same direction. Once it starts pulling it off the swift, you can let go of the yarn, because the swift will keep the tension on the yarn. And you can just wind it up. Now I've never actually timed myself winding a ball of yarn, but it's certainly a lot quicker than if you were to sit there and hand wind it. Which if you don't have one of these ball winders, you could use a swift and hand wind the yarn into a ball. But the ball winder, or the cake winder, however you want to call it, is definitely much faster at winding your yarn up. And if you've got a lot of skeins to yarn up, or a lot of you got a lot of skeins to wind up, this definitely is a time saver. It's pretty quiet too, so you could sit and watch TV while you were winding up your yarn, or throw a YouTube video on and watch YouTube videos while you're winding up your yarn. So just keep winding it up. And now we're getting close to the end of the end of the hank. And you can slow down a little bit. And there we go. It's all wound up. Now what I like to do is take this little end and just tuck it in. So we're going to turn the ball around here so I can see my end. And I'm just going to tuck it under a couple of strands. Now to take it off the ball winder, all you have to do is just lift it straight off the ball winder. And you'll have your pull strand will be on the top, and then I take my tag and I roll it up and put it in the center on the bottom. And there is your nice wound up cake of yarn, just like the previous one that I had. And that's all there is to it, to wind up a cake of yarn. So if you've liked this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to ring that bell so you won't miss any of my tutorials. And thanks for watching. Happy crocheting! Bye-bye!